Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host for today's episode. And today on the show, I have Jeff Socha, CEO of Socha Capital, as my guest. We're going to be learning about his business, his journey to business ownership, best practices that he's learned, as well as challenges that he's faced to give you that inside look to what it's like to own and operate a business. Welcome to the show, Jeff. It's so great to meet you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Kay.
Of course. Well, before we dive into all things business, I would love to share a bit about you. I see you're a speaker and you're doing so many great things. So feel free to share a bit about yourself.
Yeah, I've founded multiple companies at this point. The company that I spend most of my time in is Socha Capital. Yeah, I also I'm pretty big into philanthropy, and I give speaking engagements quite frequently, mostly just in the United States.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Well, let's dive into your robust background because it sounds
Sure.
like you've opened or you've founded multiple businesses. So, how did your journey in entrepreneurship start?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure if this is where you would think to start the story, but my dad's dad, my grandpa, had started an electrical contracting construction company in 1950. And so I grew up in this blue collar entrepreneur family where basically, if we weren't in school, we were at the shop or on a job site or in a work truck. And so I very much grew up in a small family owned construction company for all of my, years, all the way even in college and summers and school breaks and things like that. And so I think that is really where I got my first sort of glimpse of entrepreneurship. Now, granted, it's a lot different, maybe living in an entrepreneur's house or working for one than actually having the responsibility on your shoulders. So then in my early 20s, right after college, I had worked for a few companies trying to learn some things. I think it's really good. Anybody that's raising their kids in their business to send their kids off to go work in some other companies first. Don't let them just come straight from college back into your business because essentially you want them to go out there and do some research, maybe even on your competitors. So I went out and worked for some electrical contracting companies. And I was in my mid 20s and I was owed a bonus and I got stiffed on that bonus. It was a very clear bonus plan. You just got a percentage of profits you delivered. And the guy said, "Oh, we're having a tough time. I can't pay you, etc." And he rolled in also around that same time with a new Range Rover. And I was like, what? This is not, if you can afford that, you can afford my bonus. So I quit and I went in to work for myself. And at that point, I had realized I was very good at construction, mainly because I had been raised in it. It was like I've been trained for it for 20 years. So whether I liked it or not was irrelevant. I was forced to be very good at it. And what I really liked though was finance. I mean, I had hired my first financial advisor when I was 15. I always read my dad's money magazines and Kiplinger magazines and things like that. And I was like, you know what? I really like finance. If I were going to work for another construction company, I would want to be like the CFO. And you know what? I think I'm just going to go advise construction companies on how to be more profitable. And turns out that in your mid 20s, in an old school gray hair environment like construction owners, they're not that interested in what a 25-year-old thinks about how to run their company. And so it was really difficult. And so then I was like, well, I'll just help anybody, And so that was sort of my start in financial services, which has since come and graduated back to where now, primarily we advise really successful entrepreneurs who make millions of dollars a year. And the motivation there, I think, somewhat stems back to my family thinking. I grew up in a family that had this mindset that, well, the really rich, the really wealthy, the really whatever, they have got ways to do things that we don't know, et cetera. And so it kind of drives me to think, okay, what is out there at the highest levels that I can bring down to sort of your, you know, uh, local successful entrepreneur who maybe isn't a billionaire. Maybe they make a few $1 million a year and they're doing well. Maybe they make $5, $10 million a year and they're doing great. But they're not sort of in that billionaire circle. How do we bring some of those strategies down that we can apply and help them make the most of what they do have?
I'm taking a few notes. That's incredible. I
Yeah.
think there's such a market there. So it's really great to hear that you've kind of been serving that market. So when
It's a
did you
tremendous market because you have essentially what we do. It's not that someone like Ernst and Young or Deloitte Consulting couldn't do what we do. They do what we do. They can probably do it better than we do. The difference is that they might have a minimum engagement of $1 million a year that they want to get, or maybe they want $10 million engagements, right? They're working for Fortune 500 companies. They want major engagements. They're working for governments, right? They want big fat engagements. So if you've got entrepreneur, somebody you've never heard of, they're not famous at all, they make 5 million bucks a year, they can't go afford to spend $1 million a year with Deloitte. And so they're like, well, maybe they can afford to spend 100 grand or 200 grand getting help. And so how do you do that, right? And part of the research in my early career, I had an opportunity to lobby Congress on tax legislation. And so I worked for two different political action committees while I was getting my financial services business going, and I was lobbying Congress on various tax matters, and that helped me start the research of, okay, well, what are these families in Congress? What are they doing to cut their taxes, and what do the wealthy politicians do? And start trying to figure out what that is, so I can bring it back to, hey, what is the $1 million earner next door? What do they need to do in their life?
Oh, definitely. And so when did you start when did you start your company again? What year was that?
So Soha Capital was just formed a few years ago. My first financial services company I sold back in 2021.
Okay.
So I
Oh,
built that up and then I sold it in 2021. And then now I'm doing, I guess you could call it version 2.0.
okay. And that formed in 2021?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was kind of getting off the ground in 2021. The Soha Capital brand itself was started in 2023.
Okay. Okay. And now with the brand that you're building currently, what does your like do you have a board of directors? Like what does that look like for you?
There's no board. I own this one 100%.
Mhm.
The first firm that I founded, I was about 6 years into it, and I made a key person there a partner in that business. But so for the first 6 years, I owned it 100%. In the second 6 years, I had a partner. This one I own 100%.
Okay. And now, do you currently have employees that work with you? Are you
Yep, we're up
solely
to about 27 employees now,
okay?
and we're growing pretty fast. So our head count is kind of doubling. And so next year, we'll probably add about another 20 people to the team.
Oh, nice. Um, so what are some of the roles that your employees have right now? Do you have like other financial advisors or what are some of the roles like?
Yeah, I mean, we have very skilled consultants, and they come from a variety of backgrounds. So we have brought in some of the top talent from firms trying to do the same thing that we're doing. We have brought in a talent that has management consulting background. We
Mhm.
have CPAs, we have enrolled agents, we have people with masters in taxation, we have chartered financial analysts. We have, a bunch of different designations. We have people with CFO backgrounds who have either been CFO of, billion-dollar plus companies, or family offices, large billionaire family offices. So we've kind of built a diverse background to bring in best practices from, kind of other roles and other backgrounds that we want to merge together here to bring the most value to our families.
Oh, wonderful. Now, as a growing business, I'd love to learn how you're gaining your clients because you kind of gave a really good definition of what your ideal client looks like. So, how are you finding your clients right now?
Yeah, right now, all of our clients come through word of mouth. It's simply driven through reputation. And so, I think if you spend 20 years trying to ensure that no matter what, at every turn, you add more value, you create more value than you cost, I think
Mhm.
that's a good recipe for improving your reputation over time. And so now, granted, in the beginning, a couple decades ago, I had to talk to anybody that would talk to me. Just to try to get the word out, get someone to give you an opportunity. You just need to get some people to give you a chance. And if you can really wow the people that will give you a chance in your early days, then the hope is they will say enough good things about you that over time you start to develop that reputation, and that reputation grows and expands, and it somewhat precedes you, and then it starts to feed you.
Oh, that's 100% true. That's really a golden nugget of this conversation is that's where a lot of entrepreneurs are struggling is like getting that first bite or that first person to like say, yes, I believe in you. And so, what are some of the challenges you faced with that and how did you overcome them?
I think you just have to have an extreme amount of resilience and tenacity. Most people are too concerned with their own um, I don't know, self-image or something that they can't handle rejection. They live in a state of fear. They won't take chances. They won't ask. This old man in my early days told me something, and it's just kind of cheesy, but it actually is just so true that I like to repeat it to a lot of people. And he just said, Jeff, you have to ASK to GET. And I thought, well, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of silly, but a lot of times people say, how did you get this? Or how did you get that deal? Or how did you get that? Whatever. And I'm like, you just have to be fearless and you have to ask and you have to talk to literally anyone. I mean, in the early days when I thought, okay, I'm just going to go out and work for the really successful construction companies. I know how to run construction. I've been trained for 20 years. Yes, I'm only in my 20s, but I was like bred for this. And none of them they were like, no, you don't have gray hair. We can't talk to you. You're a kid. You don't know what you're doing. And it was there was no open doors to construction companies. Okay, and so I just had to basically go, okay, fine. Anyone that I can help with financial matters, I will help them, and then maybe they will tell me to talk to some people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think the thing is you have to treat every opportunity as like the most valuable thing you've ever been given. Because even if you have somebody gives you a small opportunity, this is the formula that I believe. I've never shared this with anyone, but this is the formula that I believe that happens. If you give me an opportunity, and let's just say I kind of do an okay job, like an average job, like a check the box job,
Hmm.
you might refer me, but you're not going to refer me up. You're only
Mm,
going to refer me down, or maybe best case scenario, lateral. Well, if I'm trying to climb the ladder to get to more and more successful families and companies, I need to get, if you give me an opportunity, I need to knock your socks off in such a way that you go and tell the most successful person you know about me, because now you think that bringing me to them might actually help improve your relationship with them because you're like, I don't know how I can ever help this mentor, this person that I know that's 10x more successful than me. And maybe this is a way I can help them, but you're only going to take that risk and making that introduction if we have just totally blown your mind with out of this world results. So if
ooh,
you give us an opportunity and we just treat it as well as a small thing and whatever, and I'm waiting for the big opportunity to deliver big value, I don't think the big opportunity is ever coming.
yeah, it's like everyone is important and everyone is a stepping stone. And to deliver well in the first one, second one, third one is just going to build that momentum to continue to grow. That's
Right.
huge.
And
Definitely.
so I think if you're watching this or listening to this, you could use that as a litmus test. You go, okay, hey, surely, hopefully, you're getting some referrals. Are
Mhm.
the referrals that you're getting better than the person that sent them? Bigger than the person that sent them? If not, it's you need to check your value you're creating and driving and delivering.
Definitely. Another golden nugget. So this has been so fun so far. And I want to dive into kind of like what you're seeing, what's next for your company. So as you're growing, as you're taking on more employees, you're expanding, What are some of the challenges you're currently faced with?
The biggest challenge that we are faced with, Kay, is the ability to get high enough quality talent. The
Mm,
number one limiting factor in our growth is, can we find talent that we think can uphold and steward and even improve the reputation that we've built? And
mhm,
so that is a grueling vetting process. I put probably the most effort into that. It's equally important to any other priority in the company. Um, we will search through thousands of applicants to find one person that we think is worth a job offer. You
mhm.
know, it's it's a pretty laborious process to sort through. We put people through numerous assessments, cognitive testing, skills testing, case study examples, work, etc. So it's a lot of work, but that's definitely the biggest challenge.
Oh, I could see that. So what are some of the things like how long would you say it takes for someone for the process of finding one person start to finish? Like you said, you start with thousands. Is that like you put ads out there or how do you go about it?
So I don't really have a hiring belief that you just, oh, well, now we're going to go hire. And then we hired some and then we stop. And then now we go hire. So I don't really look at it as like, well, now we're starting to hire. And when we decide to start hiring, how long does it take? I have a belief that we should always be hiring.
Okay.
I grew up in West Texas, and there's a lot of outdoors men and whatnot, and so there's people that will do these fishing tournaments, and a lot of people go fishing, and when you do a fishing tournament, let's say, I don't know, whatever it is, bass fishing or something, and you have a limit of five, let's say, and when you catch five fish, you do not stop fishing. You keep fishing the entire length of the tournament, because if you catch a fish that's bigger than your smallest fish, you take the smallest fish out and you put the bigger fish in. And you keep fishing the entire duration of the tournament so that you can cull the live well with bigger fish. And so I take that mindset and I say, you know what? We will always be hiring. And every person that we hire, the goal is that they're better than everyone that we've already hired. That's a
Mm,
very tall order. So it's not that necessarily that's the case or that we always land that. Sometimes we get people that are a great fit, and maybe they're not necessarily day one better off than anyone that's currently on the team. But the goal is we want to constantly be improving our team. So that comes through investing in the current team, their own development, but also constantly always be hiring and looking for the best talent and thinking, how can I always upgrade? If you're a championship sports team, you're always looking at trading players, you're always looking at who should we negotiate to get in the draft to get new players, et cetera. You have to build that team, and you need to stack it with as many of the best players you can possibly get. If you look at college football, that it's always in the headlines these days because of all the rule changes. If you look at how much effort those coaches put into recruiting versus practicing, it's
mm,
probably 50-50.
yeah.
They put as much effort into who they get on the team as the practice they do with the team, right?
Hmm.
So
Definitely.
that's the mindset we take here. You know, once if a good applicant comes into our system, the goal is that we can identify them and get an offer out within 3 weeks if they are a good fit. Now, maybe it takes 3.5, 4 weeks, but I would like to be able to have an applicant come in that's a great fit and have a job offer out to them within a month, or shorter. We don't want it to be long, so it needs to be hard driving, fast paced process of going here. Let's move through these steps as quickly as possible.
That's huge. I think that's really huge and a great thought because, yeah, instead of thinking, oh, I'll just hire when I need to, it's like you're always kind of on the pulse of new, fresh talent. So, yeah, I think that's incredible. And so, kind of moving into I see we're kind of getting close to time. So, I want to get into our fun rapid fire questions where I ask you four questions and you answer very top of mind.
Sure.
All right. Question number one is what is a key to success for you?
I feel like we've talked about it, but I'll add on to that with our core values. We live and breathe and die by our core values. People get hired and fired here based on our core values. Our core values are respect, growth, communication, and reliability.
Oh, those are great core values. I'm gonna probably steal a couple of those because those are
Go for
good.
it.
Number two is, what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
I would say for other business owners, you must keep first things first. So often I see entrepreneurs who are worried about things that aren't growing the business.
Mm,
The things that move the needle in the business. Somebody asked me one time for really simple, just dumbed down business financial advice. And I said, here's the priorities. Get cash, keep cash, invest cash. One comes before two, before three. So
mhm,
step one, get cash. If you don't have enough cash, get more cash. Step one. So that comes through sales, right? Managing expenses. You have to do step one. Two and three don't even matter until you're doing one well.
mhm, definitely. And number three is, it could be like a book, a podcast, an article, anything that you've taken in recently.
Well, in line with what we were just talking about, I think Who is a really good book. It is all about the methods of hiring and identifying the right people. And I've had to really start reading books around talent acquisition, et cetera, to get better and improve that in our organization.
Mm, yeah, it's definitely one to read for, especially for those employees who, or those business owners who are looking for employees. And the fourth question is, now this might even go with your kind of the conversation we've had. If you could wave a magic wand and rapidly improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Hiring. I would be able to just find the absolute best A+ players on demand like this, just instantly, right? We would have like a sniper team just going, man, we've got a line of them out the door, and we just call the next one in and the next, right? That would be the best thing because if I've got the best people, then the clients are going to have the best experience, and the referrals will keep coming, right? And so the market is so big. I mean, our value proposition of cutting someone's tax bill in half and then guaranteeing our results. I mean, putting our money where our mouth is very difficult to find another professional service firm these days that does that. We
Mhm.
literally put in our agreements that we will more than pay for ourselves, and if we don't, we refund the difference. I've never even heard of another professional service firm doing that. So, the demand is strong, right? The ability to deliver is hinging upon our ability to staff the right talent.
Definitely. Well, Jeff, this has been such a great conversation. Before we get to our final question for the day, how can folks get connected with you and your company online?
Well, yeah, the best way to go is just look up sohacapital.com. I'm sure you'll post it in the show. If you do want to know more about tax, you can also go to talktaxwithjeff.com.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you, Jeff. And for our final question today, what is most inspiring to you today?
I think what's most inspiring for me is to build a company that's the ultimate experience, not just for the clients, but also for everyone that interacts with our firm. Whether it be a podcast host, whether it be a vendor, a strategic partner, an employee, someone inside, spouses of people married to people that work here. I really just want to be the epicenter of that ultimate experience with anyone that has any interaction with a firm. I think the way that we're going to get there is through our core values. And I think the closer we get to that, the bigger and brighter the future is for our company.
Definitely, Jeff. Well, again, this has been inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with me on the show today.
Thanks for having me on, Kay.